In the next few minutes, I'm going to expose 9 fancy alcohols Americans buy to look high class, even though the bottle is doing all the work and the liquid isn't earning the reputation. These are the drinks that hide behind imported labels, luxury glass, celebrity faces, and small batch language, while delivering industrial shortcuts, engineered flavor, and inflated pricing. Stay until the end because I'll give you 4 categories that are actually worth paying for if you want real quality instead of status theater. Let's start with what's probably sitting on your bar cart right now. Number 9. The imported equals premium sparkling trap. There's a certain kind of sparkling bottle Americans treat like instant sophistication. It shows up at brunch, at holiday parties, at office celebrations, and it works like a shortcut. The label looks imported, the name sounds European, the region feels romantic, and the bubbles create the illusion that you just upgraded your taste. But here's what most people don't realize. A huge portion of fancy sparkling on American shelves is engineered to be safe, consistent, and bland enough to offend nobody. That's not craftsmanship. That's a distribution strategy built for mass approval. The first red flag is sweetness. The bottle might not scream sweet, but your palate can tell when sugar is doing the heavy lifting. Many mass-market sparklers rely on dosage and sugar balancing to cover up thin base wine, weak structure, and a lack of real character. It's not that sweetness is automatically evil, it's that sweetness is a convenient mask. It smooths rough edges, rounds out flat flavor, and makes an average product feel luxurious to an untrained palate. The drink becomes easy, and in America, easy gets mislabeled as premium. The second red flag is age and travel. Sparkling wine is not a timeless luxury object. It's fragile. It can degrade fast with heat exposure, long storage, and bright retail lighting. When a bottle is treated like shelf-stable decor, the life gets drained out of it. What you're left with is bubbles and sugar, not freshness and structure. That's why so much grocery store sparkling tastes dull, even when the branding is trying to sell you elegance. The third red flag is language. Words like reserve, special cuvée, heritage, and classic get used as decoration when the brand isn't willing to give you anything concrete. No real transparency about the production method. No meaningful base vintage information. No clear handling details. Just a story that sounds expensive. That's not education. That's camouflage. And this is the payoff for the industry. You pay premium prices for something that tastes smooth and easy precisely because nothing is happening. No tension, no mineral edge, no real acid backbone, no complexity that evolves as you sip, just bubbly sweetness that reads as celebration. Americans confuse that with high class because the social context tells them it's high class. But in reality, it often means you bought a product designed to be inoffensive after months under store lights. If you want sparkling that actually deserves respect, stop chasing labels that look foreign and start asking what matters. How was it made? How was it stored? Does it taste alive? Because when the bottle's biggest feature is the pop and the photo, you're not buying quality. You're buying a moment. Number 8. Celebrity tequila dressed up as luxury. Tequila has become a status symbol in America, and the industry knows exactly how to exploit that. Not because the average drinker suddenly turned into an agave expert, because tequila is the perfect vehicle for perception. The bottle can look expensive, the story can sound artisanal, the price can manufacture instant credibility. And when you add a celebrity face, the purchase turns into a social signal. You didn't just buy alcohol, you bought association, and you paid a premium to be seen holding it. Here's the reality buried under glossy branding and backlit bar shelves. A huge portion of luxury tequila sold in the American market is built for scale first and reputation second. It's engineered to move units, not to express agave. It leans on one word as the core promise: smooth. But smooth can be a warning sign when it's achieved through manipulation instead of patience. Industrial brands know exactly what most consumers want. They want something that doesn't challenge them. They want sweetness that reads as rich. They want a finish that disappears fast so they can call it clean. That's not quality, that's design. The average consumer has been trained into 2 bad assumptions. Burn equals bad, and sweetness equals premium. That's exactly backwards. Real agave character has bite. It has herbal tension, peppery edges, cooked plant sweetness that feels earthy rather than candy-like, and structure that lingers. It doesn't need to be harsh, but it should be alive. Industrial tequila often tastes soft, perfumed, and vaguely vanilla caramel because it was never built to be complex. It was built to be easy, and easy sells to people who are buying a vibe more than a spirit. The celebrity tequila playbook is predictable because it works. Oversized branding, a minimalist bottle designed to look good on a counter, a name that sounds premium, a story that hints at tradition without giving details that can be checked. You'll hear phrases like handcrafted, estate, legacy, authentic, and artisanal. Then you look for anything concrete and it's fog. No meaningful detail about how the agave is grown, no clear explanation of how it's cooked, no transparency about extraction, no straight answers about what the producer does to make it go down easy. Because if they spelled out every step, the consumer might realize the luxury is mostly packaging. And this is the part Americans miss. A fancy tequila isn't fancy because it's expensive. It's fancy because it's honest. It's fancy when the brand can prove what it is, how it's made, and why it tastes the way it tastes without hiding behind celebrity heat and lifestyle marketing. When the bottle is selling you luxury more than the liquid is selling you agave, the brand is not asking to be tasted. It's asking to be seen. That's not high class. That's marketing theater with alcohol inside. Number 7. Ultra-premium vodka that sells you a story instead of a difference. Vodka is the easiest category on earth to fake luxury in. Not because vodka is inherently bad, because vodka's goal is neutrality. It's supposed to be clean, minimal, and unobtrusive. That gives marketers a wide-open playground. When a product is designed to taste like very little, the brand can claim almost anything, and the consumer has no strong sensory anchor to challenge it. So what happens? Americans start equating expensive vodka with high-class vodka. They start repeating the brand's vocabulary. Glacier water, diamond filtration, distilled 10 times. Ultra pure, silky, velvet. It sounds scientific, but it's mostly theater. Distillation is not a moral act. Filtration is not proof of integrity. And purity is not the same as quality when the end goal is emptiness. Here's the trap. Luxury vodka marketing trains you to believe the bottle is a wellness object. Clean equals healthy, smooth equals safe, premium equals responsible. Then you pay for a tall glass bottle, a frosted finish, and a name that sounds like wealth. In reality, much of the category is competing on packaging because the liquid is structurally similar across brands at that level of distillation. The differences are subtle, and subtlety is not what most people are paying for. They're paying for status. Another tell is the way it gets used. The high-class vodka is often poured into cocktails, designed to erase vodka entirely. So you're paying premium prices to have your premium liquid disappear behind juice, soda, or flavored mixers. That's not sophistication. That's a transfer of money from your wallet to a marketing department. If you want a spirit category where the bottle should justify itself in the glass, vodka is the wrong place to chase high class. The hard truth is that, for most people, expensive vodka is just expensive neutrality with a luxury costume. Number 6. Small batch flavored whiskey that drinks like dessert. This one is everywhere right now. The bottle looks serious. The label uses old-timey fonts and frontier language. The branding leans hard on heritage, craftsmanship, and tradition, like you're holding something that came out of a dusty rickhouse after years of patience and discipline. Then you taste it, and it's basically candy wearing a whiskey costume. Vanilla frosting, maple syrup, artificial caramel, cinnamon sugar. It goes down like a flavored latte, and people call it smooth. They call it high class because it doesn't bite. That's the trap, and the industry built it on purpose. The modern whiskey market has learned a simple trick. Harsh-based spirit can be sold as premium if you bury it under sweetness and flavor systems. The consumer feels comfort. The alcohol disappears. The burn gets muted. And because it's easy to drink, people assume it must be better. That assumption is backwards. Real whiskey isn't defined by how little you taste it. Real whiskey is defined by what's actually there when you do taste it. Aging builds complexity through time, wood interaction, oxidation, evaporation, and concentration. It creates structure. It creates tension. It gives you layers that unfold, not a single sweet note that hits you like syrup and then vanishes. Flavored whiskey flips that equation. It gives you the idea of whiskey without the work of whiskey. It's engineered for people who want the identity, not the taste. The bottle looks like a premium product because the bottle is doing the premium labor. The liquid isn't. And this is where the marketing gets ruthless. They don't sell you flavor as flavor. They sell you smoothness as sophistication. Smooth becomes the new quality metric because it's easy to understand and it makes the buyer feel smart. If it's smooth, it must be refined. If it's refined, it must be expensive. And if it's expensive, it must be high class. That chain of logic collapses the moment you remember one truth. Sweetness is not refinement. Sweetness is concealment when it's being used to cover up thin spirit and rushed production. There's also a psychological trick happening. When a whiskey tastes like dessert, it feels indulgent. Indulgence gets mistaken for luxury. The consumer thinks, this tastes rich, so it must be high quality. But richness can be manufactured. Sweetness is the cheapest way to create perceived body. It thickens the experience. It rounds the edges. It makes an average product feel warm and cozy, even if the base spirit is sharp, young, and underdeveloped. Once you train a palate to equate sweetness with quality, you become easy to sell to, because every new bottle can outsugar the last one and call it premium. If you want to know whether a bottle is truly high class or just dressed up, ask one question. Does it taste like whiskey, or does it taste like a product designed to keep you from tasting whiskey? Because if smooth is achieved through added sweetness and engineered flavor, you're not drinking craftsmanship, you're drinking camouflage. Number 5. Club culture prestige bottles that live on reputation, not integrity. There are certain bottles that have become symbols in America. You see them in nightclubs, VIP sections, and celebratory photos like they're part of the dress code. People point to them like trophies. The bottle becomes proof that the night is special, proof that someone spent money, proof that you're in the right room with the right people. And that's exactly why so many Americans think these spirits are high class. They associate the bottle with attention, and they assume attention equals quality. But attention is not a tasting note. Attention is a marketing outcome. Club culture has completely different incentives than craftsmanship. In a loud room, nobody is analyzing aroma. Nobody is evaluating finish. Nobody is comparing texture, balance, or structure. The spirit exists to be mixed, poured quickly, and photographed. It needs to be easy enough to disappear into soda, juice, or neon cocktails without causing complaints. That means the liquid is often built for consistency, not nuance. It's built to be recognizable, not interesting. It's designed to taste the same in every city, every bar, every night, across thousands of venues. That's not how great spirits are made. Great spirits are expressive. They carry the fingerprint of raw material, fermentation, distillation choices, aging strategy, and time. They don't just show up, they reveal themselves. This is where the illusion of prestige becomes dangerous for your wallet. You aren't paying for liquid excellence, you're paying for the brand's position. You're paying for the marketing budget that put that bottle in every music video and every celebrity table. You're paying for distribution dominance, for the supply chain that guarantees the label is always available when someone wants to perform status. You're paying for the bottle's role in a social ritual, not for what's inside it. And when a spirit's identity becomes, this is what high-status people order, the brand stops needing to prove anything beyond availability. If it's everywhere, it must be good. That's the silent logic, and it's exactly what the industry wants you to believe. Another tell is the way people talk about these bottles. The language is always vague. Luxury, premium, top shelf, smooth, high quality. None of those words mean anything without specifics. They're placeholders, they're atmosphere. You rarely hear the details that actually matter. Production choices, fermentation approach, distillation cuts, aging conditions, blend strategy, additive disclosure, or transparent sourcing. You don't hear those things because they can be checked. Aura can't be checked. Aura is expensive. Aura is profitable. Aura is not the same as excellence. And here's the hard truth. When a bottle's main function is being seen in the background of a picture, that bottle is not a high-class drink. It's a prop. It's a tool for social signaling. That doesn't automatically mean it tastes horrible, but it does mean you are paying for everything except what should matter most. If the brand needs the room, the lights, the music, and the camera flash to feel premium, the liquid isn't doing the job. Craftsmanship doesn't need a VIP section. It holds up in silence, in a glass, with nothing but your palate to judge it. Number 4. Prestige Scotch vibes bottles that sell heritage armor more than flavor truth. Americans love the idea of heritage. They're drawn to anything that looks old world, established, and quietly sophisticated. And Scotch, more than almost any other spirit, has become a cultural shorthand for taste. The glass matters, the pour matters, the slow sip matters. There's a whole fantasy attached to it. Leather chairs, dim light, maturity, restraint. That image is powerful, and it's exactly why certain bottles get treated like automatic high-class purchases, even when the actual drinking experience is doing very little of the work. Here's what happens once a Scotch brand reaches global scale. Consistency becomes the religion. When you're producing enormous volumes year after year, the primary goal is not expression, nuance, or risk. The goal is that every bottle tastes close enough to the last one that no one is surprised. And when consistency becomes sacred, transparency becomes inconvenient. You start seeing vague labels, carefully worded claims, and storytelling that sounds rich but avoids specifics that could invite scrutiny. The brand needs flexibility, and flexibility doesn't pair well with precision. This is also where the obsession with smooth takes over. Smooth becomes the promise because smooth is easy to sell to new drinkers. Smooth feels safe. Smooth feels refined. Smooth doesn't challenge anyone. But real Scotch character is not always smooth, and it was never meant to be. It can be sharp, it can be mineral, it can be smoky, medicinal, coastal, or even abrasive at first sip. That tension is part of the point. Complexity isn't designed to be universally likable, it's designed to be expressive. When everything is engineered to be smooth, something usually gets sanded down along the way. Another common trick is finish theater. A bottle is finished in a secondary cask, and suddenly there's a story. Wine cask, sherry cask, rum cask, exotic wood, romantic language. Sometimes finishes are genuinely beautiful and add depth. Other times, they're a distraction, a way to dress up a highly consistent base spirit and make it feel rare without actually changing much underneath. The consumer hears the finish story and assumes craftsmanship, uniqueness, and added value. In reality, they may be buying a manipulated profile designed to feel special while remaining safely predictable. Then the price steps in and seals the illusion. Scotch pricing has become a status ladder. People climb it assuming higher price equals higher class. But in a hype-driven market, price often reflects scarcity theater and branding power more than liquid excellence. Limited releases, dramatic packaging, and reputation-driven demand push prices up, and the American consumer interprets that increase as proof of superiority. What they're often getting instead is a spirit engineered to be safe, smooth, and broadly acceptable, wrapped in the language of tradition. This is the trap. Paying for the idea of Scotch sophistication while drinking something designed not to offend. Heritage becomes a shield, reputation becomes armor, and mediocrity gets sold at a premium because questioning it feels like questioning good taste itself. If you want high class in this category, stop worshiping the label and start judging the liquid's honesty. Heritage can be real, but it can also be weaponized. True quality doesn't rely on fantasy. It holds up in the glass, even when the story falls silent. Number 3. Luxury-looking gin that's mostly perfume and packaging. Gin has exploded into a fancy identity product. Beautiful bottles, botanical lists, limited editions, storytelling about rare ingredients and artisanal distillation. It's the perfect stage for modern luxury because it photographs well and sounds sophisticated. The problem is that botanical complexity is easy to fake. It's also easy to use as camouflage. A gin can be made to smell like a garden and still be built on a forgettable base. Botanicals can distract you from rough edges. They can overload the senses so you stop noticing lack of structure. And in the premium gin world, a lot of brands lean on novelty. Unusual botanicals, bright colors, dramatic flavor notes, and a promise that this is not your typical gin. Novelty sells. Novelty is not the same as quality. Americans often mistake intensity for refinement. If it's floral, fragrant, and different, they assume it must be high class. But gin isn't high class because it's loud. It's high class because it's balanced. It should have integration, clarity, and a backbone that doesn't collapse the moment you mix it. A perfume bomb gin can feel impressive for one sip and then become cloying, chaotic, or harsh when you actually drink it like a normal person. Another tell is how quickly the brand pushes you toward cocktails. Some gins are designed to be mixed because the brand knows the gin alone is not the point. The point is the vibe, the glassware, the garnish, the lifestyle. When the spirit itself is secondary to the performance around it, you're not paying for craftsmanship, you're paying for theater. High-class gin doesn't need a dramatic story. It needs a clean, honest profile that holds up under scrutiny. If the bottle is shouting, it's often because the liquid can't whisper. Number 2. Top shelf rum that's actually sugar-driven and engineered. Rum is one of the most misunderstood fancy categories in America, and the industry is thrilled about it. People see a dark color and assume age. They taste sweetness and assume smoothness. They hear words like reserve and assume heritage. And because most consumers don't have a clear framework for what quality rum actually tastes like, branding fills the gap. The bottle becomes the teacher. The label becomes the proof, and that's how average rum gets upgraded into luxury without earning it. The biggest trap is simple. Americans think sweetness equals quality in rum. If it tastes like vanilla, caramel, brown sugar, and dessert, they assume it must be old, expensive, and carefully aged. But sweetness can be added. It can be manipulated. It can be used like makeup. And it is the fastest, cheapest way to manufacture the illusion of maturity. True aging is expensive. It takes time, space, and loss. Barrels breathe. Alcohol evaporates. Inventory shrinks. That cost forces honest producers to charge more, because they're selling time, not shortcuts. Real aging also creates a profile that isn't just sweet. It creates structure. It creates tannin. It brings spice, dryness, wood bite, bitter edges, and a finish that evolves. Good rum has tension. It has layers that open up and then linger. When a rum tastes like syrup and then disappears cleanly, you should be suspicious. That smoothness might not be refinement. It might be concealment. A rum engineered to be universally friendly is often a rum engineered to be sweet, because sweetness is the easiest way to keep people from noticing what's missing. Another tell is label language. Solera, Reserva, Añejo, Gran, Extra, Ultra. These words sound like time and tradition, but they're often used loosely, and the average American buyer isn't trained to ask what they actually mean for that specific producer. Solera can suggest a romantic system of continuous blending, but it can also become a fog machine that hides how young the blend really is. Añejo sounds like a guarantee, but without a clear age statement and transparent standards, it's more vibe than verification. And if the brand refuses to be precise, there's usually a reason. Precision would reveal something inconvenient, like a blend strategy that's more marketing than maturity, like an age impression created with sweetening, coloring, or heavy-handed finishing, rather than patience and clean distillation. Rum also suffers from status positioning in American culture. A fancy rum bottle becomes a way to look refined without drinking whiskey. The bottle looks elegant, the flavor is friendly, and the drink feels sophisticated. It becomes a safer version of luxury. No burn, no challenge, no learning curve. But again, that friendliness often comes from engineering. When the brand's main promise is that everyone will like it, what they're really telling you is that it was designed for broad appeal, not for honest character. If you want real high-class rum, stop chasing dessert. You're looking for honesty and structure. You're looking for a producer that isn't afraid of a drier profile and a finish that tells the truth. Because in rum, the real luxury isn't sweetness, it's integrity. Number 1. The sophisticated sipper liqueur that is really just sugar wearing a tuxedo. This is the ultimate status decoy because it's socially protected. People rarely criticize it. It's associated with adulthood, refinement, and the idea of having taste. It's poured after dinner, used in coffee, or sipped slowly as if it's a sign of maturity. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Many of the fancy liqueurs Americans treat as high class are sugar-forward products designed to taste like comfort, not complexity. This category thrives on ritual, the small glass, the slow sip, the after-dinner moment, the cafe culture fantasy. And because the moment feels sophisticated, the product gets treated as sophisticated. But liqueurs are often engineered first and foremost to be smooth, sweet, and approachable. That's not automatically bad. What makes it not high class is when the consumer pays luxury prices for what is essentially flavored sugar, alcohol, with a premium identity. The worst offenders lean heavily on branding and tradition language, while delivering a profile built to be consistent and easy across massive global distribution. They sell you heritage, but what they're really selling is a sugar and flavor system that tastes the same in every setting, forever. Americans interpret that consistency as quality. It's actually a manufacturing achievement. Here's the tell. If the drink's main note is sweetness and the finish is short, you're not sipping depth, you're sipping a dessert product. If the reason it feels fancy is because you only drink it on special occasions, that's psychological, not sensory. The bottle is benefiting from scarcity in your life, not excellence in its makeup. This is why it earns the #1 spot, because it's the cleanest example of status theater. It is not high class because it's the best. It's high class because it's culturally coded as high class. That's not the same thing. The 4 categories worth buying instead. Now that we've exposed the 9 fancy alcohol traps Americans mistake for class, here's the part most videos never give you. What to buy if you actually care about quality, not prestige, not a bottle that photographs well. Quality you can taste, verify, and trust. Better choice 4, transparent spirits from producers who prove integrity instead of implying it. If a brand wants your money, it should give you information, not romance. Look for producers who disclose meaningful details, raw material source, production method, and whether the profile is achieved through time and process or through manipulation. High class isn't a fancy font on the label. High class is when the producer is willing to be audited by reality. The best bottles in any category tend to have one thing in common. They don't need to distract you. They don't need celebrity association. They don't need vague claims. They tell you exactly what they did, and they let the liquid stand there and take the test. Better choice 3. Traditional methods sparkling with freshness and accountability. If you want bubbles that deserve the respect, stop buying fancy-looking sparkling and start buying sparkling that tastes alive. Freshness matters, storage matters, method matters. Traditional method sparkling tends to have structure, tension, and a finish that doesn't collapse into sugar. You'll taste acidity, mineral edge, and actual character rather than generic sweetness. And when the producer treats the product like something that can degrade, you're more likely to get a bottle that still has life in it when you open it. Better choice 2. Real aged spirits where maturity is earned, not poured in. In whiskey, rum, and other aged categories, the difference between high class and high gloss is whether time did the work. Real aging brings complexity that includes dryness, spice, tannin, and a finish that evolves. The smoothness should come from integration, not sweetness. When a bottle tastes like dessert but claims it's refined, that's a red flag. True maturity doesn't need to be sugary to be enjoyable. It needs to be honest. Better choice 1. Bottles that prove quality through process, not prose. Here's the simplest rule. If the brand spends more time telling you what to feel than showing you what it did, it's probably selling status. Real quality is not afraid of specifics. It's not afraid of a profile that isn't instantly likable. And it's not afraid of the consumer learning how to taste beyond smoothness. High class is not an image. High class is substance that holds up even when the room is quiet and nobody is watching you drink it. There you have it. 9 fancy alcohol categories Americans mistake for high class, and 4 categories of purchases that actually deserve your money. The next time you're standing in the aisle, remember this. The bottle is not the proof. The story is not the proof. The price is not the proof. The only proof is what's in the glass and what the producer is willing to disclose about how it got there. And one more thing that matters. If you're under the legal drinking age where you live, this isn't a shopping guide for you. This is a reality check about marketing and status signals that shape what adults buy and what they believe. For everyone else, the point is simple. Stop paying for status theater. Stop letting smoothness trick you into thinking you bought quality. And stop confusing popular and wealthy rooms with made with integrity. If this changed how you see fancy alcohol, hit that like button, drop a comment telling me which category surprised you most, and share this with the person who always buys the bottle for the label. Subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdown, because the industry makes the most money when you shop with your ego instead of your eyes. Thanks for watching. Until next time, buy substance, not costume.